Hey, what's going on, Tell All Virgin Gang? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Just got done working out, doing that old Stairmaster again. Yeah, my favorite exercise of all. It is good. It helps burn a lot of calories. I'm doing that one holiday season. I like all the holiday snacks, holiday treats, holiday meals. I'm not deprive myself of it. I like to eat it. So I'm just gonna have to work out even harder to make sure I can stay fit and physique wise and be able to do what I need to do for my job. And I'm just gonna eat. It sucks, but it's the most effective thing. Well, while you're doing it, you're sitting there for like 45 minutes to an hour, and the last thing you want to do is think about all the stairs you're walking on because it's absolute torture. Like, especially that last 5-10 minutes, feels like you're in the hyperbolic time chamber, man. It feels like you're just sitting there doing it for about like 2-3 hours, and you just look over at the clock. You're looking over your video you got playing in the back. It's been like 4 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. You're just wondering, how the hell am I going to do this? But while you're there, you're thinking about stuff. Like, thinking about things helps kind of distract you. And I've been thinking a lot about like the manipulation, how more people are kind of willing to call it out a little bit more. There's more creators that are acknowledging that we have a lot of manipulation that happens here. I think the Pikachu was kind of a big one. By the way, that Pikachu is no longer sitting at $420,000, $669 or whatever the hell it was, right? They bumped it back down to 2,000. I still think that's pretty high for what it is, but I guess for like super hype, super boomy cards or something like that, sure, 2,000. I guess so. I guess that's where eBay determined where it was actually legit. They stepped in. I imagine they got rid of some of the fucking really shilly eBay bids or something like that. Like, hey, stop. That's ridiculous. Okay. It got up to $420,000. Let's bring it back down to like 2 grand, I suppose. Let's keep it there. And I guess that's where it's going to sit. Cool. Hopefully, we'll keep an eye on that. There's a lot of people that are more willing to talk about topics, and a lot of people that are more willing to just talk about things that aren't just Pokemon cards. Me, myself, I started doing it for 2 reasons. Number one, I like this hobby, and I hate seeing people get fucked here. I hate just seeing weird, scammy, scummy things happen here, and I just like to yap. I don't typically talk in my actual spare time, in my actual real life. I'm kind of just of a quiet dude. I don't really talk too much. I kind of just sit there. I'll add to conversations if I have to, but I'm not really a big yapper here in my hobby and in my space and things I'm passionate about and things I'm knowledgeable about. I got zero issue talking about it. It's good. It's nice practice for being professional and actually having to speak in, the settings you have to and presenting topics and just not sounding like you have never spoken before or something like that. It's really good practice, and I like doing that stuff as well. Number two, it's just my hobby. I like talking about this stuff, and I really like doing it. And number three, I just don't have the money to be opening Pokemon cards all the damn time. Like, I'm not poor or fucking not doing well by any stretch of the imagination, but I cannot just dump 2/3 of the paycheck on Pokemon cards and call it good and just do openings every fucking day. If you can do that, more power to you, and that's awesome. I'm really happy you can do that. I cannot. And talking about certain topics here has really made it easier for me to actually make content, do things in my hobby space, and ultimately be a part of the community and feel like I'm actually fucking doing something. But I have noticed, because it has been relatively lonely, not too many people wanted to talk about things because it's not really positive. Most people kind of just wanted to copy Pokerev or Leonhardt or fucking any of the other things that were happening and stuff. There are some people that broke away and did like little different things, the card openings, Cool Trainer Ryan, people like that kind of did their own thing. But at the same time, the people didn't really want to talk about that. So it's been relatively lonely. You had your few commentators. You got like me, Rock Sandy, Mimic Brew, Rattle, and like a couple other people here and there who will hop in and talk about stuff. Dama, he hops in and talks about commentary things every once in a while too. Relatively small space, lots of room for people to step in and discuss things if they truly wanted to. There's plenty of room. But I notice people are a lot more willing to talk about the boom and acknowledge that it exists right now, especially with like manipulation of cards. Twilight Masquerade's a pretty hot topic right now. Certain singles are a hot topic right now. Surging Spark release boxes, that's a pretty hot topic right now. And it's a good thing. I like seeing that. I like the more information's flowing out there. And I like having people have options and lots of different things they can listen to before they make decisions about Pokemon cards. This is money. This is people's income. They have to spend money if they want to be here. Just at least a little bit. They have to at least throw some money at products. And I'm just happy we have a very diverse amount of information. The boom stuff, though, like a lot of people are kind of worried about this and wondering if it's going to like be here for a while. I'm unfortunately here to tell you it's probably going to stay here for a sec. Like, really the only thing that's going to stop this, because let me break it down. So we got like three major groups of people in our hobby, right? We got the players, and they're here doing their thing. They're fucking opening up cards, looking for stuff for building decks. They're making their content for that. They're going to worlds, they're going to regionals, they're going to tournaments, they're doing all that stuff, right? You got collectors, and that can kind of like be in the middle. Like, some of them play, some of them get a little bit of money, some of them just like to actually like, fill up binders and stuff. So that's kind of like your average median ground where there's people that can kind of do a little bit of each. Not to say players don't do all that stuff too, but that collectors is like the middle ground where you don't stick like a foot too far either way. And then you got your investors, and your investor guys, they are here to make a profit off of the Pokemon space. Yes, they can also collect. Yes, they can also play, but their primary thing they're trying to do here is gather a product to make some money off of the Pokemon stuff and the hype and sell stuff to people and sit on some product and make informed decisions on what they should be doing with the product and basically just buy some product, throw it in a closet and forget it. Booster boxes, ETBs, booster bundles, packs, anything specialty like that, especially special sets. The more of that stuff you have and the more of it you have in a closet, 5 years from now, someone's going to fucking rip off PokeRev again or something like that, and that person's going to want to buy all the fucking stuff that you have, sell it to them, and make a huge fucking chunk of profit off what you did because you bought all that stuff at retail. That's really what it's turning into. The boom and stuff like that, really the only thing that's going to stop it, because this is really the only thing that stopped it in Japanese. Japan had to actually print so much product that people lost interest in it because the value wasn't there anymore. People were chasing cards in Japanese for a while, and I think people kind of forget that. It wasn't just in Scarlet and Violet. It was a little bit before that, too, in the actual Sword and Shield era, where some of the alternate arts and some of the full art trainers were worth a good little bit of money. I think people tend to forget that, like, Lost Abyss had the Irida. No, that wasn't Lost Abyss. That was Space Juggler. Space Juggler had Irida. And that card alone was like fucking $300. Yes, it was playable as shit, but that full art card alone was going for a decent amount of money. Full art trainers used to be the most expensive cards in the Japanese sets. And that bled all the way into Scarlet and Violet, all the way till up about, like, when did they actually fix that shit? I'd say it was after 151, so around like Paradox Rift time frame. So Wild Force and Future Flash, I think that's when they ended up fixing it. That's when they started like just chucking product out, because I remember Shiny Treasure was announced and people were like really worried about the price of that shit, myself included a little bit, because I was like, fuck, how long is this going to go on? But they just pushed out so many boxes of it that people just couldn't hype it up like that anymore. And the Pokemon Company likes to make their money. Unfortunately, what's going to have to happen in English, and English is going through a weird thing right now where it's being like pumped up on steroids. There's going to have to be so much product out. There's going to have to be so much of it that it not only satisfies everybody in the States and the investors and people that are like trying to put a bunch of money into stuff, because that's like the weirder thing about our stuff. Yes, people do that in Japanese, but there's so many people that do it with English. Like, if you just dump a bunch of product out onto the shelves and it's like something really good, then it's going to be like bought up and hoarded by people who think that's going to be the thing to do. They can't get it all, obviously, but it's going to be like one of those instances where it's going to have to be a lot of product, and it's going to have to be consistently that much product, and eventually people are just going to have to lose interest in that shit. Yes, it's going to just die down on itself eventually. Eventually, people won't be able to keep it up. And then there's going to be this huge disparity between the average person and people that are sitting on a ton of product. It's not going to be too fun for people anymore if, like, stuff just gets way too fucking crazy expensive. Pokemon's just going to reprint and reprint to kind of meet the demand for that. They did it with Japanese. I don't see why they wouldn't do it for English. There's definitely at least going to be a reprint or two of Surging Sparks. There's a weird rumor going around that Surging Sparks isn't going to be reprinted, and I don't know who the fuck started that, but that's just absolutely false. It's been out for, like, officially, like 2 days? It's been 2 days it's been out or something, and it's just not going to get reprinted? Get the fuck out of here. There's no way that that's not going to be the case. People are just yapping and shitting stuff out of their ass at that point. I don't know why. It's FOMO. It's hype. People are trying to do that. The boom for this shit, ultimately, it will kind of subside on its own as, like, people kind of lose interest in shit, and people are going to kind of be like, well, this stuff is bad, but this stuff I'm holding is good. You know what I'm saying with that? Basically, like, people are going to be holding on to, like, maybe Prismatic Evolutions, the fucking Gym Hero set, the Trainer Pokemon set, not the Rocket set. The Rocket set eventually when it does come out, and then a little bit of, like, Surging Sparks, and then, like, shit like that. Like, people are going to have, like, their good sets of what Scarlet and Violet is, and as that comes out, the other sets are kind of going to be, like, floating around where there's going to be people speculating, but you'll be able to pick up, like, certain ones, and they're not going to be really that expensive at all. And then, like, the crazy hype ones, you can expect Pokemon, they're going to reprint at least, like, 1 or 2 waves of that shit. They're at least going to have, like, more product come out for stuff like that. They did it for 151. I think people forget how many times 151 actually resurfaced and went back out there. Hell, they could do it again. They could literally make a whole... We got the Blooming Onion set that comes out here in a little bit. They could literally just be like, yeah, we're doing that. Plus, we're making a bunch more ETBs, and we're just going to, push them out there again. The singles for shit's already kind of cheap in Japanese, and they're reprinting in Japanese once again for the entire set, and that's going to make a lot of singles. That's the other thing, too. Even just because product is expensive Doesn't mean singles are always going to be like that too. Yes, there's going to be some chase cards, but overall, the non-chase cards in these sets are relatively cheap, especially like there's so many SARs and SIRs that are really not that expensive at all. And people are like, well, they're not the good ones. They're not the pop. That's up to the debate. That's fucking subjective. There's some really good ones. I personally think the Ogre Pond ones are great, and nobody else seems to think. I just bought all 4 of them. All 4 of the SARs. I couldn't pull one to save my life. I bought all 4 of them for like $40. That's total. That was everything. And I got them all. Like, all 4 of them are going to be in a nice little binder page. And it's going to look fucking sick. And people just, they're not worried about them right now. And with people not worried about like that, they're focused on their shit. You got a lot of time to backtrack. Like I said, I was able to get an Iono SAR. Never thought I was going to be able to get that shit. I thought I was just going to be shit out of luck. And be like, well, it's going to be fucking, $800 or something like that where it stabilizes. Kind of like basing that off like the Sun and Moon trainers a little bit. Because that was the only comparable thing we really had. And it didn't. It actually dipped down a lot. Japan printed a lot of product. They made it so where like booster box is a little bit more obtainable. And English could do that. It's going to have to like do a lot more of that because people in this space generally like to hold on to shit a little bit more. And not to say Japanese people don't do that, but it's not quite the same. We have like a really big investing / collecting meta that's going on right now in our English spot that's really pushing the fucking thing where people want to do that stuff. Yes, there's breakers. What it was in 2021, I'm sorry for yapping so much. 2021 and 2020 was like the break era. That's when everyone and their mom was like breaking cards. Like everyone was signing up for Whatnot and breaking that stuff. So everybody was going to stores, grab as much product as they could from SRP, and selling packs for like 3 to 4 times the price. Like no fucking problem. People are making stacks on Whatnot and Drip and all that stuff. Like when it was like brand new. And at this point, you have a lot of people that are going to be buying stuff up so they can actually hold it and then sell it whenever stuff starts pumping up. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, you got a lot of investors now that are, like, investing in a lot of this stuff. And that's really what's going to push it. They're going to have to print a lot of stuff. English has gone through its, like, phases before. There's going to be a lot of sets that are kind of, swept out that aren't really looked at too much. And I think people should focus on that if you're still wanting to open some stuff up. Obviously, take deals where you can. Take stuff that you can. Take fucking Prismatic Evolutions where you can. Take Surging Sparks where you can. Take fucking the Gym Challenge or whatever the fuck it is with the Lily and all that stuff. Take that where you can. Just, it's okay. The boom's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to take a lot of stuff for it to happen. Japanese might also recatch back on. We'll see. I see a lot of people mentioning the Japanese boom is coming again. I don't really know where the fuck that's coming from. But people are pretty set on it right this second as well. You can, if you're on Instagram, you hear a lot of weird things. You hear a lot of weird odd takes that are coming from stuff. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. We'll see with this one. But yeah, sorry for yapping. It's on my head. A lot of people talking. I don't even know if I had a fucking topic for this video. We'll see what I title this shit. Have a good one, Virgin Gang. See you later. There's fucking booms happening, people talking, lots of stuff being on. I don't know. They're going to need to print a lot of shit. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of stuff's going to happen, but at the end of the day, they will print a lot of stuff, and they will wave it out.